Hello Bookish friends, welcome to another top 5 video. This top 5 video is a special video for People April, and I will talk about my top 5 favorite People April books, which of course includes memoirs and biographies. The book on the 5th place is Desert Flower by Waris Dirie. This book tells the true story of Dirie's childhood in the deserts of Somalia, where she faces hardship, including undergoing female genital mutilation. She escapes an arranged marriage as a teenager and eventually builds a successful career as an international model in cities like London and New York City. I read this book in the beginning of the year, and I was fascinated by Dirie's real-life story. But I have to give a content warning because the passages talking about the female genital mutilation is really hard to read. But other than that, this book is a very powerful read. Although it is not told in a literary way, I really like the sincerity and the rawness of the way that Waris tells her story. The book on the 4th place is Homework, a Memoir of My Hollywood Years by Julie Andrews. This book focuses on Andrews' career in Hollywood after the success of the films like Mary Poppins and The Sound of Music. She shares behind-the-scenes experiences from filmmaking, her collaborations, and the challenges of balancing a demanding career with her personal life and family. I really enjoyed this memoir. I was already quite a big fan of Julie Andrews and her movies. However, as I read this memoir, my respect for Andrews increased very much because although she was a very big star in 1960s and 1970s, she wanted to share her success and honor the people that she worked with in those very successful movies, and how much she learned from all of these professionals. I was also quite impressed with the way that she really tried to handle the stress of being a stepmother as well as a quite loving wife. The book on the 3rd place is a true crime story, Helter, Skelter by Vincent Bugliosi. This book details how cult leader Charles Manson manipulated his followers into committing the killings driven by his apocalyptic vision of a race war he called Helter Skelter. This book is quite a long book. However, because I was very much into the way that the case was detailed and explained, I did not feel its length while reading it. It was very interesting how Bugliosi built his case step by step and how clever he was. And of course, even Bugliosi was fascinated by Charles Manson, although he was positively sure he was guilty and tried to convict him. But I also have to give a content warning for this book because it really gives the horrific murders and its gory details. But if you do not mind reading about such content, I think it is the best true crime book that I have read. The book on the 2nd place is a graphic memoir, Persepolis by Marjane Satrapi. The graphic work tells the story of Satrapi's childhood in Iran during the Iranian Revolution. And through a child's perspective, it shows how political upheaval, war, and strict social rules shape her identity and challenge her sense of freedom. As she grows older and eventually leaves Iran, Satrapi struggles with cultural displacement and self-discovery while trying to reconcile her past with her present. The story of Satrapi is quite interesting. However, what made this so much success for me was the way that Satrapi told her story through so few words and only by drawings. The mood of the characters, the atmosphere is given through different styles of drawing throughout the memoir. Although I prefer the first half of this graphic memoir, the second half is also quite powerful in portraying the cultural shock and the prejudices that she faced as an immigrant. And the book on the first place is Unbroken by Lauren Hillenbrand. This book tells the true story of Louis Zamperini, a troubled youth who becomes an Olympic runner and later a World War II bombardier. His plane crashes in the Pacific. After surviving adrift at sea for 47 days, he is eventually captured by the Japanese Navy and sent to brutal prisoner of war camps where he endures extreme physical and psychological abuse. I really do love the writing style of this book and the way that the story is paced like a quite engaging fictional book. However, knowing that these horrific acts really happened in prisoner of war camps made this book so much powerful. For this book, I will also give a content warning for the very, very brutal treatment of the prisoners in Japanese camps. This is also a quite thick book, but because it's quite engaging and it really has a dramatic change of character, it also does not feel like such a long book. This book is actually my favorite nonfiction book as well, and that's why it takes the first place in this list. As for Turkish word of the day, I'm going to choose desert. Desert means çöl in Turkish, and çöl is our Turkish word of the day. Have a good day.